Good evening, Nigeria. Welcome to the maiden edition of Battle of Words, where the brightest mind engage in intellectual showdown. I'm your host this evening. My name is Emmanuel Justice. Today, we are going to be witnessing the three brightest minds hitting it out on one of the finest or one of the hottest debate topic in the Nigerian education sector. With me from my left is Ndam Jacob from St. Augustine's College, Jos Plateau State, followed by Moses Caleb from Boso Secondary School, Mina, Niger State, and Maimuna Isa from Shostart Private School, FCT, Abuja. So the rules of today's debate is very simple. We are going to be having 4 rounds, and they are going to answer the question. Then on the third round, they are now going to engage each other, asking each other questions, and then the final round is where they now have to give their closing remark and tell us why they are winning today's debate, right? So to vote in today's debate, after you are done watching the video, you go to your YouTube and you search for Nigerian Education TV. Then on the tabs, whenever content like this is being released, you're also going to be the first to receive today's contents. So let's go to the debate proper. So we're going to be starting with Ndam Jacob. The debate motion is simple. Assuming you are the Minister of Education in Nigeria, there have been a lot of issues about the 3 education bodies we have, WAEC, NECO, and JAMB. So to you, Ndam Jacob, do you think it's time Nigerians scrap out these 3 education bodies and unify them together under one unified first school leaving certificate examination? So to you now, Ndam Jacob, what do you think?
Our students are burdened by duplication. Our parents are exhausted by costs. Our educational system is trapped with redundancy. It's high time we simplify. It's time we modernize. It's time we unify. Good evening, Nigerians. Standing before is Ndam Jacob, a student of St. Augustine's College, here to give my own take on one of the most heated topics in Nigeria. If you were a Nigerian Education Minister, will you scrap WAEC, that's the West African Examination Council, established in 1952. NECO, the National Examination Council, established in 1999. And JAMB, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, established in 1978, and replaced them with a Unified School Leaving Certificate on Aptitude test. If I, Ndam Jacob, were Nigeria's Education Minister, I would these examination bodies. All of us will bear me witness that both WAEC and NECO serve the same function. That is, certifying the completion of secondary school education of administrative costs, stress, and logistical overloads. Moreover, if I, Ndam Jacob, were Nigeria's Education Minister, I will scrap WAEC, NECO, and JAMB and replace them with a Unified School Leaving Certificate on Aptitude test because of their high costs on students and parents. Most students today in Nigeria drop out of school, not because they are not able to comprehend the knowledge taught in the class, but because they are not financially stable, they are not financially strong to register for all these 3 examinations at the same time. We all know that to register all these 3 examinations, an average Nigerian student has to spend about 60 to 100,000 naira. This is usually financially burdensome, most especially to low-income countries. Moreover, if I have a certificate because of their outdated and fragmented curricula, over the years and up to today, WAEC and NECO have been centering their examination questions on issues that require students to cram or memorize before they pass. However, the students' critical analysis thinking skills is being left out. The students' ability to use the knowledge learned in the class to solve complex life scenarios and situations is left out. A Unified School Leaving Certificate can modernize and as well make this curricula efficient, integrated 21st century skills like problem solving, digital literacy, critical analysis, and communication skills. Members, if I, Ndam Jacob, were Nigeria's Education Minister, I will scrap WAEC, NECO, and JAMB and replace them with a Unified School Leaving Certificate because of their lack of transparency, accountability, efficiency, and because they lack to show our students' abilities and capabilities. A Unified School Leaving Certificate will promote fairness in the system. A Unified School Leaving Certificate will improve accountability and transparency. Fellow Nigerians, it is high time we scrap the past having learned a lot from the past and unify the future. Let us give Nigerian students not only an examination, but a fair chance to thrive in the 21st century world. We don't need more than 3 examination bodies to tell each other educated. We need one system that's fair, credible, modern, affordable, and truly reflective of our students' abilities and capabilities. Scrapping out WAEC, NECO, and JAMB is not the reason in our history. Rather, it is writing a new future in the history of Nigeria, a future of clarity, a future of hope, a future of equal opportunity for all. If I, Ndam Jacob, were Nigeria's education minister, I will unify and Nigeria will grow. Thanks.
Okay, so Mrs. Caleb, we are now to you. So as the Minister of Education, what's your take on this heated debate topic? Are you going to also scrap out WAEC, NECO, and JAMB? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one strong pillar is better than 3 shaking legs. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Moses Caleb, and I rise firmly to support today's motion. If you were Nigeria's education minister, would you scrap WAEC, NECO, and JAMB and replace them with a unified school level certificate and aptitude test? Yes, I would. Education is the cornerstone of a nation's progress. As Nelson Mandela once says, and I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Yet, here in Nigeria, our education assessment system is fragmented, confusing, and increasingly ineffective. Not that I disrespect the institution that built our past, but because I see a future where education is smarter, simpler, and stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, what was the purpose of setting up these 3 exam bodies in the first place? WAEC founded in 1952, was created to organize a regional secondary school exam across English-speaking West African nations. Its aim was to promote educational standardization, compatibility, and recognition across borders. NECO was introduced in 1999 to give Nigeria full control over its exam system, reducing WAEC's monopoly. JAMB was created in 1978 to streamline university admission, replacing the chaotic system of each university conducting its own entrance exam. In essence, these bodies were created to promote credibility, fair access, and standardized assessment. Ladies and gentlemen, how do we judge these 3 exam bodies based on their goals? Transparency and credibility of results, fairness, efficiency, and accessibility to students, alignment with educational and technological advancement, public trust, and resistance to malpractice or fraud. Do they provide value for time and money? But sadly, the answer is no. Ladies and gentlemen, are these 3 exam bodies meeting up with their goals? No, and I'll prove to you all today. They failed to meet up with the goal of efficiency. Running 3 separate exam systems is costly and redundant. Over 15 billion naira is spent annually on JAMB processing and logistics, according to National Bureau of Statistics. Students spend an average of 50,000 naira to 70,000 naira for all exams. Ladies and gentlemen, they also failed to meet the goal of integrity and public trust. In 2022, WAEC alone reported over 11,000 malpractice cases. NECO also flagged over 700 centers for offense for malpractice. In that same year, JAMB blacklisted hundreds of CBT centers for offenses ranging from data tampering to candidate impersonation. They also failed to meet up with the goal of relevance. These bodies operating in silos, assessing students inconsistently, and causing university admission delay. They also failed to meet up with the goal of equity and fairness. Students from remote or poor areas struggle to access multiple exams, as reports indicated that only 52% of students from the rural area were able to access 3 exams. Ladies and gentlemen, reason why the new system will be better than the current 3 exam system. If we replace WAEC, NECO, and JAMB with a single unified exam, we are creating efficiency: 1 exam, 1 result, 1 system. Equity: students face the same standard regardless of their state, background, or location. Cost reduction: parents' money are now saved. Government billions are also streamlined. Ladies and gentlemen, integrity: digital system, biometric registration, and AI monitoring can be used to reduce malpractice. Let's take a scenario. Imagine Amina in Kano, who passed her WAEC but failed NECO. Her JAMB score was good, but her university didn't accept her because her NECO was withheld. Now, picture that same Amina writing a single unified exam. No rejection, no delay, no confusion. That's the power of unity. Ladies and gentlemen, reason why I should do this as the minister, how it is the best interest for the country, because it tackles 3 major problem: corruption, inefficiency, and inequality. It lays the foundation for a globally competitive education system. It also frees up billions in public funds to be redirected to teacher training, curriculum reform, and infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, reason why I should do this as the minister: it positions me as a reform-minded visionary leader, leaves a historic legacy like the Obafemi Awolowo's free education policy, become the minister who simplified education and modernized the next generation.
Thank you, Mrs. Caleb, for your wonderful contribution to the argument. Okay, so now to you, Maimuna Isa. So what's your own contribution as the Minister of Education to this particular same heated topic? So are you also going to as well scrap out the three and unify them on one single body? Thank you.
Thank you. Good day, esteemed guest, Mr. Moderator, honorable co-debaters, attentive audience from home, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maimuna Isa, student of Short Start Schools, and today I stand before you as the Federal Minister of Education of Nigeria. And I propose to scrap WAEC, NECO, and JAMB and replace them with a unified school leaving certificate and an aptitude test. Imagine this. In fact, let's not imagine, because this is our reality. A 17-year-old Nigerian student, after 6 years of secondary school, must wrestle with not one, not two, but 3 exams. 3 major national exams, each with its own time, fees, schedule, and syllabus. And for some, this isn't just about academic pressure, but financial burden. Now, as the Minister of Education, I would like to ask one simple but powerful question. Why are we testing our students 3 times for the same basic qualification? Shouldn't we trust a unified school leaving certificate and an aptitude test to do the job effectively and efficiently for us all? After all, as a concerned minister, my goal is not to exhaust our students, but to evaluate them for the next stage of life. In my speech today, I'll talk about 2 things. Firstly, I'll establish the parameters of the motion. WAEC, West African Examination Council; NECO, National Examination Council; and JAMB, Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. These exams serve important purposes: WAEC, which certifies students upon the completion of secondary school; NECO, which alternates to WAEC; and JAMB, which determines university and tertiary admissions. But these exams overlap in content and create unnecessary burden on students and families. But on the brighter side, we have a unified school leaving certificate and an aptitude test. A unified school leaving certificate, which is a standardization certificate given to students upon the completion of secondary school. And for a country like Nigeria, where we have multiple systems, private, public, international, religious, this means that every student gets the same certificate regardless of where you are graduating from, aiming for standardization, recognition, and quality benchmark. And then an aptitude test, which focuses mainly on skills and natural abilities, widely accessed by scholarship bodies, employers, and private institutions. And they access students beyond just exam scores. They see potentials, unlike WAEC, NECO, and JAMB, which is mostly academic and rote memorization. Now, I'll establish why we should trust a unified school leaving certificate and an aptitude test. To begin with, oppositions might say that scrapping WAEC, NECO, and JAMB will lead to loss of recognition and international credibility. Yes, recognition: WAEC, which is regionally recognized in West Africa, and JAMB, which is nationally accepted. But credibility is not tied to the name of an exam, but to the process and transparency of its exam qualities. And has any of these 3 exams been able to show us qualitative or credible exam processes? No, and that should be another topic to argue about. Credibility is not about quality. Credibility is about quality, but not traditions. Credibility is earned by modernization, not legacy. I'm telling you, if Nigeria builds a transparent, secure, data-driven, unified exam, we will gain national recognition. What am I saying? We'll gain global recognition. Take, for example, a student scores JAMB in average, but wins certificate far more than his JAMB results. Yes. So basically, all we need is one unified exam and a school leaving certificate to do the job for us. And that leads me to my next point. We need to eliminate repetition and enhance efficiency. We know what the system looks like currently: outdated, inefficient, unreliable. Why? Because it's just it's too much to handle. And opposition will still say that multiple exams provide checks and balances and ensure quality. Yes, checks and balances, quite all right. But why is a national exam widely testing 3 separate exams with the same content, and people still fail and fail and fail? That is not quality, that is not credibility, but duplication. It's like checking your bank, trying to check your bank balance on 3 different apps, showing 3 different figures. Confusing, but use one app. Makes more sense. In essence, using one combined exam, unified exam, and a school leaving certificate will do the job effectively, cutting down all extra steps and making everything better for the government, for the students, for the families, and the nation as a whole. Finally, to promote fairness and enhance efficiency, and to promote standardization. We know what the current system looks like I said before. Nigerian students are overtested and underserved, honestly speaking. We write NECO, write JAMB, write WAEC, and like I said before, some people still retake the following year. Why don't you think the Gen Z says school na scam? All they do is teach us the value of X, but never how to make money, never how to navigate the reality, never how to do budgets, never how to do taxes. It all makes sense now, but as a concerned minister, I would like to redefine their narrative and make them believe that change can happen, a change that will benefit everyone in Nigeria. In conclusion, as a concerned minister, I would scrap WAEC, yes, but not to discard assessments, but to redefine it and show that I value simplicity and relevance, and show that, yes, I value potentials over privilege. Therefore, I urge this House to stand with me on my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Maimuna, for that wonderful speech. So now we are going to go on a commercial break, a 1 minute, 30 seconds commercial break. And when we are back, we're going to go into round 2, where, as the moderator, I'll be asking us individual questions, and then we get to respond to those questions and buttress our points the more. Thank you very much.
Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? To expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity, and unleash your full potential beyond classroom? Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel, it's an initiative brought to you by Bringing On Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education, with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your ward watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debates, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained.
Okay, welcome our viewers. We are back from our commercial break now. We are going to be going into our round 2. Don't also forget that at least the 3 of them have given you their first argument. Always make sure you go back to Nigeria Education TV, search on the post tab, look through their 3 pictures, whoever you feel is convincing you the best, like on their pictures, comment to cheer them up, subscribe, and always turn on your notification. Okay, so in this round 2, as the moderator, I'll be asking each of them questions from what they have spoken so far, right? So from the first speaker, Jacob, you talked about the redundancy in Nigerian education system, telling us that these 3 education systems are already outdated. But some people that have supported these 3 education bodies remaining different have argued that each of them have different purposes or reasons why they are existing. Some of them have argued that WAEC is in charge of not just Nigerian education body, but also West Africa, right? Some people have argued on what JAMB itself does, helping to streamline number of students that are entering into universities to make sure that not everybody is coming into university. But from your argument, you are saying that the 3 of them is redundant. The work they are doing is very, very outdated. They are just outdated gatekeepers of our education. So can you also buttress more points on that, showing why you feel these 3 bodies, their work is very, very outdated in current Nigerian education system? Thank you.
Panel. These 3 examination bodies in Nigeria are truly outdated, redundant, and does not conform global trends because of their irregularities in terms of the conduction of exams. Take, for instance, a student who travels many kilometers to write an examination. He writes that examination under panic and pressure, dodging epileptic power supply, under a hum of invigilators and CCTV cameras everywhere. Even if such a student manages to pass, the next thing is no admission. How then do you expect such a student to continue with his own zeal and goal for educational life? WAEC, JAMB, and NECO are outdated because of their bias towards the elites. Though WAEC conducts the streamlining of students into tertiary university education, as such, that does not mean that we should maintain them. Remember, more than half of the universities in Nigeria still conduct post-UT MBA examinations. That is, WAEC, that is JAMB, is of no importance to us, since after writing JAMB, we still have to conduct another examination before gaining admission to universities. Moreover, WAEC, JAMB, and NECO are redundant, outdated, and only favors the elites because of their bias. We all know that most of the students from top developed places have access to coaching, educational materials, and many other things that keep them ahead of their counterparts in the rural areas. They know how to operate computers, they know how to do many things. However, the less privileged Nigerian students are left to wallow in only what God can do for them. They are not able to understand computer. NECO's Vision 2026 to combine it or to convert it into a computer-based testing is only progressing on their paper. Because I don't know how this will work, because more than 70% of the Nigerian secondary schools don't even have computer lab, to talk more of how students will use the computers. WAEC, JAMB, and NECO are truly outdated and does not conform international and global standards. Therefore, we should scrap them and replace them with a unified school living certificate. A unified living certificate will promote equity. A unified school living certificate will promote transparency. A unified school living certificate will promote accountability in the system. WAEC in 2022 ranked Nigeria among the top 5 most corrupt countries in terms of examination malpractice. That is, the most of the exams conducted in Nigeria, the students are not the ones that write these exams by themselves, but they are helped by their teachers and facilitators. We need a unified system where our students will be tested based on their ability and capability to render their selfless service to their united fatherland. We need a system where our students will be tested based on their abilities and capabilities to do what is expected, not what the examination bodies are forcing them to cram and memorize before they pass exams. Members, we are seated will again bear me witness that WAEC, NECO, and JAMB are truly outdated and does not conform international standards, as no developed country in this world run more than one multiple examination bodies for the same level. China, like I've earlier mentioned, uses the GACO system. Germany, like I've earlier mentioned, uses a centralized GSE system. If only Nigeria can adopt such policies, if only Nigeria can try to be among the elites of the world in terms of examination conduction, then definitely the future of our students, the future of our children will be unified. Unified through an examination system that will test them based on what they can do, based on what they can offer to their societies, not based on what they are forcing them to cram. Moreover, panel, you also bear me witness that that JAMB specifically failed to answer the question that was asked this year. Out of the 1.9 million candidates that registered for JAMB this year, about 1.5 million scored below 200 out of 400 marks. The registrar was questioned. He only provided answers. He forgets that beyond these answers lie shattered hopes. He forgets that beyond these answers lie shattered dreams. He forgets that beyond these answers lies the future of Nigerian leaders. We all are crying for a better Nigeria, a Nigeria in which all of us will be happy of, a Nigeria in which our children will be judged on the content of their character, by their ability and intelligence to render a selfless service to a united fatherland. Definitely, WAEC, JAMB, and NECO are outdated gatekeepers that favor only the elites in the society. They fail to balance the equation between the elites and the less privileged Nigerians. Therefore, scrapping out these examination bodies is the best. If only Nigeria will grow. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ndam Jacob. I enjoyed that speech. Over to you now, Moses Caleb. You talked about the issue of integrity, that integrity needs to exist, right? But then, also, people that have argued about us unifying these bodies have talked about the system of Nigeria, right? Where if you try to put all these particular things in the hands of one person or in the hands of one body, it increases corruption. So in your argument, you are trying to prove to us that integrity is going to exist. So how then do you make sure that corruption will not exist if you are going to have only one single body, and then you don't compromise the standardization of this particular education sector or education system that we have in Nigeria? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, a single unified exam would reduce and try to eliminate corruption, not increasing corruption. Nigeria's education system is drowning in corruption, exam malpractice, fake results, and backdoor admission. And at the center of it all are WAEC, NECO, and JAMB. If we truly want change, we must replace these 3 exam bodies with one single unified exam that is transparent and fair access to students. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, what is corruption? Precisely in the education sector. Corruption in the education sector involves dishonest, unethical, or illegal practices that undermines merit, fairness, and learning practices. In Nigeria, it is widespread and deeply rooted, especially around examination, admission, and administration. Ladies and gentlemen, what are the major types of corruption in the education sector related to the current 3 exam system? We have examination malpractice, leakage of exam papers before the exam date, commonly in WAEC and NECO, bribing invigilators and supervisors to ignore or even assist cheating. We have forgery and manipulation of results, upgrading or buying scores after the exam, commonly in WAEC and NECO, fake certificates used for university admission, admission racketeering, bribing school staff or officials to secure admission through the backdoor entries, selling admission slots in federal and state university. We have ghosts of fake students. Some principals or exam officials create fake enrollment number just to collect more government funding. Sex for grade and favoritism. Lecturers and teachers demanding for sex for better grades or admission. Financial extortion in schools. Principals or school officials inflating fees just to pocket extra money. Panel, how this corruption existed because of the current multiple exam system. Firstly, exam malpractice is caused by WAEC and NECO. Both WAEC and NECO still use paper-based systems which are easily leaked. Some principals and exam officers register students under these special bodies where cheating is organized for a fee. Forgery and manipulation of results is caused by WAEC, NECO, and JAMB. After each exam, corrupt agents offer services like score upgrade for WAEC and NECO students. JAMB also face such challenges. In some CBT centers workers collaborate with impersonators during registration or tampers with score. Ladies and gentlemen, also admission racket, which is caused by JAMB plus university. JAMB is meant to standardize admission, but officials still sell admission slots behind the portal. Students with fake or upgraded WAEC and NECO results are given admission through the backdoor entry. Ghost or fake students, it occurs in collaboration with the WAEC and NECO officials. Some WAEC and NECO officials and principals inflate WAEC and NECO candidate number just to pocket government money. Also, sex for grade. It is worsened by the pressure to pass or score high in your exam. In JAMB, CBT center workers sometimes exchange special help for love or money. Ladies and gentlemen, these are evidences to prove that the corruption in the education sector existed because of the current multiple exam system, and that the single unified exam would reduce corruption and try to eliminate it because of the transparency and accountability. How the single unified exam would reduce corruption. Ends multi-exam loopholes and overlap. A single unified exam closes multiple doors to corruption. No need for plan B or special center when one result is final. A centralized and digital system is easy monitoring. A single unified body will use computer-based testing, CBT, and a secure digital platform for registration, examination, result processing, and admission. Every student will have a unique profile and digital record, making impersonation impossible. Also, eliminate forgery and manipulation of results. With one national exam, all results are stored in a secured and tamper-proof platform, which make forgery of results totally impossible. It closes admission corruption loopholes. Admission will be based strictly on merit plus a verified score from one secure exam, which reduce manipulation of results and backdoor entries. No multiple results to manipulate. It also restores integrity to the education system. Once cheating, bribery, and result manipulation are blocked, students will focus on learning, not surviving the exam by any means. Also, public confidence in the system will improve. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to ask, why are we running 3 separate races just to reach one finish line? As we all know that the goal of education is not to exhaust our students, but rather empower them. In conclusion, a single unified exam would close loopholes, reduce malpractice, and restore integrity to the education system. So a single unified exam will be the better option for the Nigerian education sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jacob. I love the speech. So, Maimuna, over to you now. Majority part of your speech, you talked about the issue of quality and how we are going to get more quality when we have a single examination body. But here is the thing. Some people have also argued that when you have three bodies, there is always checks and balances between them, and then there is this idea of them competing among each other who is going to be the best. So if you now try to streamline them to become one body, how do you also make sure you're going to maintain quality education and quality examination? If it is only one body, you're no longer competing with any other body to become maybe the better education body or examination body rather in Nigeria. So how do you also make sure you promote that particular quality that you have argued for in your first speech? Thank you very much.
Okay, from your question, but before then, beloved Nigerians, before I analyze this question he said, what I understood was that what he's basically trying to say is how to maintain the student's academic lifestyle. So basically, when we talk about academic lifestyle or academic standard, what it means is what students are able to know and are expected to do at a certain stage of their academic life, which could include assessment criteria, instructional goals, grade level expectations. Now, let's picture what WAEC, NECO, and JAMB looks like currently in the lives of Nigerian graduates. I'll go first. Mass failing, cramming to pass, exam questions arriving late from exam bodies, students writing exams at 8 p.m., sometimes 9 p.m., repetition of questions for over decades. That isn't an academic standard we should try and improve. That is not academic standard, but academic substandard, academic regression, academic stagnation. By scraping these three exams, we are not lowering their standards. We are not doing any harm. Instead, we are raising it to meet up with the 21st century competencies. How, you may ask? Firstly, we'll have to define clearly what vision of academic standard we want for our students by establishing a national quality benchmark which aligns with 21st century competencies. That's for the Unified School Leaving Certificate and an aptitude test. 2, we'll have to involve universities, higher education bodies, basically universities, colleges of education, polytechnics, to define clearly what skills and knowledges our students need. 3, we will have to pilot and review before nationwide rollout. So before implementing fully the aptitude test, we have to test it in certain areas. For instance, 100 schools, 100 public schools, 50 private schools in 6 geographical zones. Then we'll evaluate from students' performances, teachers' feedbacks, and parent satisfactions. Then we'll be able to tell if there is any inconsistency that has to be adjusted to ensure fairness, integrity, so the standards will be maintained and consistently improved. 4, to strengthen teacher training and school accountability. We have to invest in our teachers, invest in our educators to deliver and access learning effectively. And schools will be accountable for their students' performances. No test can lift standards if its teaching is weak. And basically, scrapping these 3 exams will not just, improve academics and, the educational system, but it would also reduce registration and logistics costs for schools and students. It would minimize stress and exam fatigues for making students to focus better on just a single exam. It would bring improved transparency and standardization in university admissions, and it would ensure equal opportunities by creating a clear vision, one single path. So basically, my vision is bold. 1 test, 1 goal. In essence, what I'm trying to say is that if we scrap these exams, we're not causing any big deal. Instead, we are raising our country to a higher standards. And it doesn't just benefit students, like I said. It would benefit the parents, families, it would benefit governments and the nation as a whole. After all, as a concerned minister, I would love it to see my country going higher, being prosperous, and meeting up with every competencies that the world could, bring to our table. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe our viewers are already getting value for your time. So now we are going to go to the 3rd round. And in this 3rd round, so we are going to allow them to ask each other questions. So now they need to engage each other because actually it's also a debate, right? So you need to have a winner. So for us to have that winner, one person needs to stand out as the best performer in this particular debate round. So now we are going to be starting with Ndam. Jacob, you can choose any of the speakers to ask questions. So the rule is simple. You ask your question in less than 15 seconds. The person that is responding have only maximum of 2 minutes to respond to any question that is asked by any speaker. Thank you. Ndama, you can go ahead now.
Okay, to Maimuna, one of the assumed ministers of education in Nigeria. When you were delivering your second speech, you made mention of a unified examination system will improve transparency and standardization. Can you, with data references, examples, and valid claims, address our house on how this will improve standardization and transparency?
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned in your second speech, you gave analysis of the 2025 JAMB results, right? But I'll give a more clear and accurate data. So tell me why a national exam, out of which 1.9 million people sitting for the national exam, out of which 1,365,479 were below average. That's a total point of 400, but that number of people were below average. That's below 200, 79.3% to be more precise. And then 565,988 were above 200. That's just 29.3%. And then top scorers, 300 and above, were 17,025 students. That's 0.88%. So tell me, if we are having this currently, and we say we shouldn't scrap WAEC, NECO, and JAMB, and there's fairness, that doesn't define fairness. That's quite disappointing, and it shouldn't be something we should be proud of. It shouldn't be something we should say to the world. So basically, using a unified school living certificate and an aptitude test will mean that we're not just assessing students based off curriculum content, but more of literacy, numeracy, critical thinking, problem solving, soft skills that would make them, you know, some people don't like maths, don't like English, but when you test them into their intellectual abilities, you can find out that, oh, there's actually more to just math and English, and that would make them have a better opportunity. That would bring them out of the other people, because not everybody is good at writing and cramming. So this gives every student, regardless of their abilities or disabilities, giving them a chance to show off that, oh, I am more than what you think I am. So we need to build a country where everybody has a chance. Everybody is fair. Everybody's given fair opportunities. Thank you.
Okay, wow, I can't even imagine myself being there because I don't know I'm going to be responding to most of these questions if I'm the one asked them. So Ndama, we would allow you also to engage with her responses as well. So she have responded to your rebuttal. Do you also want to engage her? So you can have a minute now to engage her if you still want. Maybe you are not still satisfied by the arguments or the reasons that she is giving. Thank you.
Okay, the question was for her to give us statistical backups on standardization, not the failure of JAMB this year. She ended up convincing the House on how JAMB witnessed a massive failure this year without giving us those backups we need. Based on the standardization, she claimed during her speech that if a unified system is being brought to Nigeria or is being adopted in Nigeria, will improve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Maimuna, we are going to give for the last chance now before we go over to the next speaker with a question. So, do you have any response to give, maybe in 30 seconds, because you say you didn't answer the question?
Yes, yeah. I have it seems like you didn't listen to me clearly. I talked about the people who are not good in math and English. So, basically, them getting an opportunity to work, like to be assessed based on critical thinking, problem solving, communication skills, give them a better chance. And for people in the urban areas who don't have access to like good schools and internet connection, they are at a disadvantage. But the USLC, Unified School Living Certificate, and an aptitude test will basically, bring them up together with everyone else. Thank you.
Okay, I believe that was engaging enough. We are going to go over to the next speaker now, Caleb. So, do you have also anybody from the two that you also want to engage with? Maybe the arguments they gave, you also want to engage their arguments. Thank you.
Now to Ndam, Jacob. In your speech, you make mention that there is no developing countries that use a multiple exam, but report indicated that Jordan, Japan, and Tunisia, who are also developing countries, use this multiple exam. Then what do you have to say about that?
Speaker, it seems you're not listening very well. In my speech, I did not mention of developing countries, but developed countries. I advise you listen very well when one is presenting his speech. Developed countries like Japan uses the Developed countries like Germany, uses the Aptitude system of examination. Developed countries like China uses the GALCO, that's the National College Entrance Examination System. Developed countries like the UK uses the centralized GSE examination for certifying the passage of secondary school education. I did not mention developing countries, but developed countries.
So, Caleb, do you also want to respond to him? Yes. Go ahead, please.
We all know that Japan is a developed country already. Jordan is also a developed country.
Speaker, stop contradicting yourself. The first question was on developing countries like Japan and Jordan. Now you are contradicting yourself to say that Japan and Jordan are developed countries. I advise you think critically.
Okay, thank you very much. Maimuna, we are going to come to you now. So do you have any speaker from the two that you also want to ask Christina Engage?
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
have a question for the first speaker. So you talked about elite people and corruption, right? So how do we ensure that using a unified school leaving certificate and an aptitude test will not favor the rich people and the elite people, like the people in government? You didn't really make
A unified school leaving certificate and aptitude test will ensure that the elites are not above the less privileged Nigerians. Because a unified school leaving certificate will have a criteria of assessing both their critical thinking skills, the criteria of assessing both how their intelligence, a criteria of assessing how they will use the knowledge learned in the class to solve complex life situations. In the United States, for example, students are not being judged by their exams before they enter college or tertiary institutions, but because of their ability to use the knowledge learned in the class to solve complex life situations. A unified school leaving certificate will not leave the less privileged Nigerians out because it will balance the equation. Balance the equation in the sense that bringing both the elites and the less privileged Nigerians together, unifying them for a better future for all.
Maimuna, are you satisfied with that response?
No, I'm not, young man. I said, how do you... Literally, you didn't answer my question properly. I said, how do you ensure that the elites don't corrupt the new system, like the unified school leaving certificate and an aptitude test? How do they not corrupt it and, use it to their advantage?
The elites will not corrupt the unified school leaving certificate and use it to their advantage, because definitely there will be a monitoring body that will regulate the affairs of this unified school leaving certificate. Let's take, for instance, if all these three examination bodies will be unified together, all the workers will be joined or merged together. As such, the degree of transparency, the degree of accountability, the degree of equity, the degree of credibility, the degree of efficiency will be skyrocketed.
I just wish I'm not there standing on that podium because the heat. Okay, Maimuna, I think you are still not satisfied. Okay. Go ahead. Let's maybe give each other to take one or two questions again. Yeah, we can now go ahead.
You still keep talking about, okay, when you say merging all the workers from WAEC, NECO, and JAMB, when you merge them together, are they not still the same people that are causing corruption in WAEC, NECO, and JAMB? So when you merge them together, it's literally a more reason for them to work together and even make money amongst themselves.
Remember that the government's attention at this situation is being divided to all these three examination bodies. By the time they are merged together, the National Assembly will make laws that will regulate the affairs of all this corruption in Nigeria. By the time they are merged together, the National Assembly will also regulate the affairs of backdoor admission and other things. So bringing them together with a standardized security checking on them, with a standardized assessing of how they give admission, with a standardized assessing of how their questions come, like, it will definitely better the situation.
Let's engage in Moses now. So from what they've been saying, you've been hearing what they've been saying. So what is also your contribution, or you have any question to anybody as well from what they've been saying? Yeah.
Here is my question to Maimuna Isa. She made mention earlier in her speech that the WAEC, NECO, and JAMB are having the same content. But we all know that WAEC and NECO was used to test the secondary school, what they have learned in the secondary school, why JAMB is actually testing how qualified are they for university. So these are two different purposes. So merging them together can bring confusion to the Nigerian education system. Then what do you have to say?
Oh my God. WAEC, NECO, and JAMB is literally confusion. It's literally confusion when you talk about WAEC, NECO, and JAMB. Because tell me why we have to write to begin with. Tell me why we have to write 3 different exams for the same purpose. That is already confusion. That is already stressing out students' mental ability and families financially. So when you say merging them together is going to make confusion, or them individually, independently is confusion, we know this. We are Nigerians. We are approaching the verge of writing WAEC, NECO, and JAMB. And we know what it's like. We watch news, we hear what is going on currently with the WAEC NECO system. That anybody, if you ask anyone right now, what do you think about WAEC, NECO, and JAMB? It's literally confusion. And the sad reality is that people will still write and fail. Right? Have you heard of people that wrote exams 3 times, JAMB 3 straight up, and still failed? So is that confusion or understanding?
Moses, are you satisfied with that response, or you still want to engage?
I think she didn't understand my question. I say you say they're having the same content, but there are 2 different things. So I want to clarify you that JAMB, WAEC, and NECO are not having one purpose. JAMB is testing individuals. How qualified are they for university admission? While the WAEC and NECO is testing them, how have they learned in their secondary school? So these are 2 different things.
Okay, I get you now. You said it yourself. WAEC, NECO, WAEC, which is used to certify students after completion of secondary school, and NECO, which alternates to WAEC, and JAMB, which determines admissions to secondary school. But now I want to ask you, why do we have 2 different things? We write WAEC, NECO, and JAMB, okay, for certification. Write JAMB for admission. Why? That is confusion at its peak. Thank you.
Let's engage Ndam now. I think they've relegated you a bit. So Ndam, do you also have any questions to engage any of the speaker? Yes.
Okay, Maimuna, you were saying that JAMB access admission to secondary school. Do you hear yourself very well? Study the motion.
You know what I mean. JAMB determines university and tertiary institution admissions. So what is the problem? Is it too hard to comprehend?
Okay. I think I would like to also see engagement between Jacob and Moses as well. So 2 of you can also engage yourself. So Moses or Jacob, do any of you have a question for each other to also balance the engagement? Do you have a question for Jacob? Okay, Jacob, do you have any question for Moses? Yes.
I have a question for one of our assumed Minister of Education in Nigeria. Also, during his speech, he mentioned of backdoor admission eroding the educational system in Nigeria because of the 3 multiple examination systems. Can he, with satisfied evidences, with detailed references, together with the name of institutions of tertiary learning that uses backdoor admission, convince the House?
Okay, I think you misunderstood what I mean. I actually say that some students bribe exam officials to secure admission through the backdoor list. Not that in tertiary institutions they are usually used. Some institutions, exam officers there are bribed through money or sex, as I said earlier, for their backdoor admission. Not that all tertiary institutions are actually using the backdoor admission. And I also make sure that fake certificate or upgraded WAEC and NECO result, as we all know happens, bribing invigilators to upgrade WAEC and NECO results are also used for backdoor admissions through mostly connection. As we all know in our country, yeah, you have a godfather, there is a connection here, so they secure admission through the backdoor list.
Speaker, I'm not asking you of explanations, but the name of school, specifically universities that uses the backdoor admissions.
I think this is going live, and it will be a very big disadvantage for me listing or mentioning university that use this backdoor admission list. But I think you can go online and browse about this current backdoor admission list that is happening in Nigeria through the use of godfather or connection in the university. Maybe you have an uncle or an auntie that is a professor or doctor of philosophy in the university. Yes, you can use this backdoor admission list through your connection. Definitely.
Okay, thank you so much for the round. I think that was very heated. Like I said, I can't imagine myself being there. So we are going to go for a commercial break now, and we'll be back in the next 2 minutes, right? Because we have been heated, we need to loosen up and freshen up, take water, rest. So we are going to come back in 2 minutes' time, and our viewers, I also believe that you are enjoying and getting value for your time. Thank you very much.
Hey Nigerians, are you ready to embark on an educational journey like no other? To expand your horizon, ignite your curiosity, and unleash your full potential beyond classroom? Welcome to Naija Educational TV.
Wait, what is this all about?
Naija Educational TV is not just a channel, it's an initiative brought to you by Bringing On Africa in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education with a mission to provide inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Whether you're a student looking to enhance your learning or a parent concerned with what your word watch, Naija Educational TV got you covered.
Dive into our fascinating shows like live debate, quiz, documentaries, and lots more, all aligned with the UNESCO agenda.
So why wait? Tune in to Naija Educational TV today by subscribing to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social media platforms to be entertained.
Welcome back, our viewers, from our commercial break. I believe you are still enjoying yourself with us. This is still a battle of words. Don't also forget to like, comment, share, and also make sure you subscribe as well, and also vote for your favorite speaker out of the 3 of them. So now we are going to be going into the last round of our today's debate or engagement, and in this round is simple. Each speaker needs to just summarize what they've been saying in 2 minutes and also convince you why you should vote for them as the winner of today's debate. Thank you. We start with you now, Maimuna.
Yes. Thank you all for listening and engaging with tonight's debate. We all are actually standing on the same case, which is an irony. Yes, we're all standing on the same case. So we need to come to terms that all we are talking about is the same thing. Our goal, our visions all leads to the same thing: a unified school living certificate and an aptitude test. Why? Because WAEC, NECO, and JAMB hasn't satisfied us. It has just over-tested us, but not served us to our content. So basically, what we all want is that a unified exam that looks into everyone's needs. Both the students who are writing the exams, the governments who are going to be in charge of the whole exam process, and to the parents who will be paying for their children for these exams. We want everyone to benefit from it. We want no one to be left behind, because we all together are Nigeria as one. And when some people are making it, some people are not, it doesn't, bring something good. It doesn't click as a positive thing. So basically, and debates are not just about who speaks the loudest or who talks the fastest. It's about values, how we persuade you into thinking, into agreeing with what we think and our values. And also, this isn't just about winning a debate, although winning is also a good thing and everybody wants to win, obviously. So it's about earning the responsibility of the values and people's own, ideas and our personal ideas. So I would love it if you guys vote for me, and and I would love to see us, doing more stuff like this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maimuna. Jacob, to you now. Sorry, Moses. Sorry. Yes.
Finally, as we all know, with the above statistics, evidence is fact of mine. I believe that a single unified exam will be better than the current 3 multiple exam system, because the strength of an education lies not in how many exams it conducts, but in how effectively it measures learning and open door, because the goal of education is not to exhaust our students, but to empower them. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, you vote for your favorite debater based on who persuaded you, who break down the motions, who give you reasons why the new system will be better, who give you the failures of the current multiple exam system, and who give you how it will be the best interest for the country and how it is the best interest for I yourself as a minister, because I've been able to persuade you and able to tell you the purpose of these exam bodies, how they are not meeting up with their goals, how this new unified system would how this unified system will be better than the current multiple exam system, and how it will be the best interest for the country and the best interest for I myself as the minister. So it is your turn to vote for your favorite debater, because persuading, convincing remains the motion of a debate. So it is time for you to click like and follow for whoever you think is a favorite debater. And as you all know, a single unified system would help reduce corruption, which is one of the major problems of Nigeria's education system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moses. So now to you, Jacob, your final speech.
Fellow Nigerians, the time has come to unify the future of our children, the future of the leaders of tomorrow, the future of who? The future of who will hold the educational integrity of Nigeria in the nearest future to come. I have been able to provide all of us with the needed references, statistical backups, valid claims, life scenarios, and everything that a unified school leaving certificate or an aptitude test will provide for Nigerian students. The time is yours to choose for your favorite debater. Remember, debating is about how you speak argumentatively. Debating is about how you speak constructively. Debating is how you persuade the opponent and even the audience to come into resolution with your own team. The time has come for us to play our own part, the audience. I therefore urge all of us to vote for our most favorite debater among the three of us. It is time, like I have earlier said, to unite the future of Nigerians, to bring Nigerian students together, to make sure that everything that the educational sector have to offer is in line with global trends that will help our students to compete with their global counterparts in different areas of the world. If only Nigerian educational system will be able to do all that we've mentioned, then definitely our students will compete with their counterparts in the wider world. The educational system in Nigeria is redundant. The educational system in Nigeria is confusing. The educational system in Nigeria is inefficient. And for us to move forward, for us to move out of all this mess, we have to unify it into a one body. A body that will ensure fairness, credibility, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. I therefore urge all of us to vote for our most favorite debaters. But keep in mind that if I, Ndam Jacob, were Nigeria's education minister, I will unify. Thanks.
So we've had three